Black Americans are leaving certain states in droves, driven by more than just job opportunities. It's about affordability, safety, culture, and survival. The new Great Migration sees professionals and families seeking better prospects. While some states face sharp declines in Black populations, others thrive. Where are they going? Let's explore. Before we jump in, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell for more videos. Also, drop a comment below on why you think this is happening. Let's get started. Illinois, number 10. Black people aren't just leaving Illinois, they're really running away. And it's not because they don't like deep dish pizza anymore. The job market is bad, the economy is unstable. And let's face it, some places feel more like survival zones than real communities. Illinois, and especially Chicago, used to be a great place for Black middle-class people to get work in trade, manufacturing, and transportation. But those steady jobs that paid well are no longer available. A lot of factories have closed down and moved, leaving Black workers behind. Illinois doesn't have much to give people who aren't in tech, finance, or healthcare. The big problem that nobody wants to talk about is crime. Even though not all of Chicago is dangerous, the high crime rate is a big reason why families are moving. Violence isn't just a headline in some places, it's something that people live with every day. Illinois isn't a great place to live, even outside of Chicago. Taxes are going up, public services are having a hard time, and the cost of living is slowly going up. What's left to stay for is a question that makes sense. What would you do then? Would you stay or leave if there were fewer jobs available and your neighborhood didn't feel as safe as it used to? Number 9, Missouri. The number of Black people living in Missouri is dropping at a worrisome rate. And who can blame them? People are leaving for better chances because crime is very high, schools are failing, and the economy is moving more slowly than a Monday morning. First, let's look at St. Louis. This city could have been a way for Black people to get ahead, but now it's more of a way for them to leave. Crime? Through the roof. The FBI always says that St. Louis is one of the most dangerous places in the United States. That's a huge problem for Black families who want to make sure their kids have a safe and successful future. And if the crime doesn't make you think again, Missouri's school system might. Black neighborhood schools are always short on money, leaving parents looking for better choices. Do you want a good public school? You might need to go through more than one state. For years, St. Louis public schools have had a hard time, and many Black families don't want to put their kids' prospects at risk. It's time to talk about money. Mo likes to talk about how much it has grown, but who really benefits? Black professionals often have a hard time finding work and making good pay. While this is going on, places like Dallas, Atlanta, and Nashville are doing very well. Their economies are growing, housing costs are low, and there are a lot more Black successes per square mile. So you have a clear choice. Stay where you are and hope things change, or move somewhere that cares about your future. Number 8, Michigan. A scary number of Black people are leaving Michigan, and Detroit's claimed comeback story isn't really drawing people in. Detroit, the Motor City, used to be known as the center of Black business, music, and industry. But the city has been stuck in a never-ending cycle of economic rebirth that never seems to really bring it back to life. Take a look at Detroit's money situation. At its peak, the city was a thriving economic powerhouse with busy Black areas, factories that were making a lot of money, and lots of chances for everyone. But since 1950, more than 62% of the people who lived in Detroit have left. More than half of the city is gone. Yes, you read that right. Businesses have closed, jobs have gone away, and whole neighborhoods are now dead towns. This is what happens when the economy lets its people down. Get educated? It's even worse. Michigan's school system is near the bottom in terms of both funding and success. Detroit's schools are in the worst shape, with overcrowded classrooms, teachers who aren't paid enough, and test scores that are shocking. People from Black families who want their children to have a better future are going to find better schools. Housing, that being said, you can still get a house for the price of a used car. But affordable doesn't always mean livable. Some neighborhoods are barely making it, and the city seems to have forgotten about them. Let's be honest, Michigan isn't really giving its black people a reason to stay. Not enough jobs are available, schools are failing, and neighborhoods are not being cared for. Number 7 in Pennsylvania. A lot of black families are leaving Pennsylvania quickly, and it's not hard to see why. The state that used to stand for industry and chance has slowly turned into a graveyard for dreams, gathering dust like an empty steel mill in Pittsburgh. Let's talk about work. Pennsylvania did very well with coal, steel, and industrial, which used to pay stable middle-class wages, especially to black workers. But when the plants shut down, there were only bad service jobs and empty warehouses left. Black workers were having a hard time keeping up with the economy because it didn't just shift. It swerved like a Philly driver avoiding potholes. And yes, Philadelphia does have history, culture, and the best cheesesteaks in the world. But house prices are going through the roof, schools aren't getting enough money, and the job market seems to have no way out. Pittsburgh? The tech boom is real, but let's be honest, it's only helping people who are already doing well. Things are getting more expensive and more risky everywhere, even in the neighborhoods, which used to be a safe bet. So why stay if jobs are going away, housing is too expensive, and the business is forcing people to leave? The same question is being asked by black people in Pennsylvania, and record numbers of them are picking the exit ramp. Number 6, Ohio. There's no real news that black people are leaving Ohio. It seems like the state's economy is moving more slowly than dial-up internet. For many black professionals, what used to be the land of chance is now more like the land of missed calls from employers. Let's talk about work. Ohio used to be a major industry center, known for its steel, manufacturing, and auto industries. Now, though, the job market is as stable as coffee that's been sitting out for a week. While the state tries to figure out what to do next, black workers are learning that their jobs are better off somewhere else. Then there's Cleveland, which used to be a city on the rise, but now has urban decay, crumbling infrastructure, and a mood that feels like the before picture on a makeover show. Parts of Cincinnati and Dayton are having the same problems. These are towns that should be doing well, but feel like they're stuck in the early 2000s. Housing, which is what draws people to Ohio, isn't enough to keep them there. It's true that homes are less expensive here, but that doesn't mean you should buy one if you can't afford it. Also, people are pulling their money out of some neighborhoods, and black communities are feeling it the most. So why stay if the job market is slow, towns feel ignored, and chances are running out? The question is being asked by more and more black Ohioans, and the solution is a one-way ticket out. Should you stay or put Ohio on your list of places not to visit? New Jersey is number 5. It's shocking how quickly black people are leaving New Jersey, and it's easy to see why. The cost of life is so high that it seems like the government is taxing you to stay alive. And taxes? Do not even begin to talk about it. Not only are New Jersey's property taxes high, they are the highest in the country. New Jersey, good job. Your job is to make people who own their own homes regret the choices they've made. Let's talk about numbers. A lot of people pay more than $8,000 a year in property taxes. It's not just a debt. You also have to pay rent every month. What do you get in return? High parking fees, bumpy roads, and schools in black neighborhoods that don't get enough money. But wait, things get worse. The prices of homes are crazy, food is expensive, and gas is expensive. You might need to set aside money just to fill up the gas tank. People in Newark, Camden, and Trenton are all having the same trouble. It's not just a North Jersey issue. So, what's the answer? Leaving. Where are they going? There are places in Georgia, North Carolina, and Texas where you can buy a house without giving up your mind. Even though New Jersey is close to New York and has some nice beaches and restaurants, black people are leaving because it is too expensive. What are you going to do? Stay and fight or buy a one-way ticket to Atlanta? Louisiana is number 4. Louisiana might be the right place for you to live if you like great food, a rich culture, and a dose of existential dread every hurricane season. But what about the thousands of black residents? The party to say goodbye has already begun. Let's face it, Mother Nature doesn't like Louisiana. Once every few years, a terrible storm comes through and floods whole neighborhoods, causing thousands of black families to start over. And while the state keeps fixing things, a lot of black people in the area won't bet on the next FEMA payment. Louisiana's business isn't stable even when the weather is good. The state depends a lot on oil and gas, so when that business coughs, the state's finances get sick. Jobs, not reliable. Pay, not able to keep up. Being a black homeowner, as low as it gets in the whole country. What can you do to plan for the future when the ground keeps moving? Yes, Louisiana has one of the most rich black communities in the United States. New Orleans is the place to go in the world for soul food, music, and history. It could change your life. However, people begin to question whether they really want to start over every 5 years. So, what's the answer? There are more black families leaving Louisiana than lost tourists, understanding they got lost on Bourbon Street at the wrong time. Cities like Atlanta, Dallas, and Houston are calling, and they can give Louisiana what it can't: financial security and a break from worrying about hurricanes all the time. Massachusetts comes in third, where very small apartments cost a lot of money and black people say, no thanks. Ever wanted to spend $500,000 on a shoebox-sized apartment only to spend your nights parallel parking on a street that looks like a real-life Mario Kart track? If that sounds like your idea of heaven, Massachusetts might be the place for you. But for a lot of black Americans, there's no way around it. We're going to talk about Boston, which is the beating heart of Massachusetts and a place that is both historically important and ridiculously expensive. The average price of a house? The shocking amount of $900,000. That is true, you read it right. Pay rent? A good place to live will cost you at least $2,500 a month, and that's not even including the cost of food, utilities, and the therapy sessions you'll need after checking your bank account. People who want to own a home instead of renting for a long time, especially black workers and young families, are moving quickly. Why? As a result, many states allow people to buy a house without feeling like they just sold their heart. And let's face it, Massachusetts isn't exactly a place where black culture thrives. Though it has a past, it might not live up to your expectations when it comes to black excellence and deep-rooted community like you'd find in Atlanta, Houston, or even Charlotte. Even though about 25% of Boston's people are black, it still feels like we're guests at the cookout and not the hosts. Ever been to something different in Massachusetts? What happens when the cost of life is through the roof and there is no sense of belonging? California is number 2. A scary number of black people are leaving California, and let's be honest, who can afford to stay? The Golden State used to be called the land of opportunity, but now it's a place where gas costs $7 a gallon and first-time homeowners are made fun of by the housing market. Let's talk about where to live. Back in the day, black families built strong neighborhoods in cities like Los Angeles, Oakland, and San Francisco. Thanks to gentrification, those areas are nothing like they used to be. Due to rising rents, black people are being priced out of their own past. You won't be able to find a house for less than $900,000. And even if you do, the cost of living makes it feel like you're always broke. Prices for groceries, gas, and taxes are all very high. The job market comes next. Even though tech is booming, most people are only barely getting by unless they work in software engineering or have a trust fund. Black workers do face a real wage gap. California likes to think of itself as progressive, but for black professionals, things are very different. Okay, let's be honest. Is it worth it to stay when the rent is too high and your old neighborhood feels more like a cool place to have lunch than a home? Many black people in California are leaving. Would you keep trying to stay, or is California just too expensive to live in? New York is number 1. There are a lot less black people living in New York, and it's easy to see why. Have you ever tried to get by in a city where a pizza piece costs as much as a meal in another state? Don't even talk about rent. People think it's a good deal to pay $3,000 a month for a one-bedroom apartment in Brooklyn. Let's talk about how much it costs to live. Black families used to be able to build wealth that would last for generations, make communities thrive, and create culture landmarks in New York. You feel like you have to spend half of your pay just to keep the lights on. There are places in New York City where the rent is over $3,500 a month. And getting a house? Don't bother. The average price is more than $800,000. And that's only if you don't mind sharing a wall with rude neighbors. Jobs are not up to date. People are having a hard time just staying alive in New York because the economy is so bad. Other states are giving opportunities. Not unless you work in finance, tech, or a high-paying job, you likely have to work twice as hard just to make ends meet. Black workers are becoming aware that they can find better pay, a better balance between work and life, and even a real chance to own their own home in other places. The real question is, why stay when rent is so high, jobs are hard to find, and you can barely afford a good meal? A growing number of Black New Yorkers are leaving a city that feels more like a brand name than a home in response to this question. What do you think? Are you going to stay or leave? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos. Stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay safe. Thanks for watching.